This is the first of a weekly series I'm planning on doing based on the BGG Climbers list. This is a list that Michael Alexander's been maintaining for, I think, since 2016. What I plan on doing is taking a look at the Climbers list and talking about the games and if I played them, my thoughts on the games. Um, Keep in mind, I didn't generate this list. I'm just using the list that, again, Michael Alexander up here has generated. It's one of my favorite lists. It kind of shows, what's been climbing the ratings or rankings in this case of BGG for the past week. I'm planning on putting this out every Thursday or Friday, depending on the week, since he publishes the list usually every Thursday. So let's take a look at this. This week is the week ending in 9/23. So let's see what it is. And I'll do the top 10, starting with number 10. This one's Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. So this game is just a reskinned version of Love Letter with the Infinity Gauntlet and Marvel series. So we can see the artwork is pretty standard Marvel artwork. I think it's maybe going to be the most, or since there's a heavy overlap between people that like Marvel and people who play board games, I think it's going to be a big hit. And a lot of the reskin love letter games do very well. So I think that it's no surprise that this thing has climbed 8% in the last week, and it's moving up the ratings pretty quickly. So number 9 is The Crew. The Crew has been moving up since it was released. This is a game I haven't been able to play yet. I do intend on playing it soon. For those that aren't aware, it's a cooperative trick-taking game. Maybe the most innovative trick-taking game in many years, or maybe even ever. The fact that it's cooperative gets a lot of people into it. The fact that it's trick-taking, it's very accessible. A lot of people know trick-taking games like Hearts and stuff from playing those games, and it won the Kennerspiel des Jahres this year. So there's no surprise that it's moving up. I think based on, take a look at some of these pictures in case you aren't familiar. Not a super fancy game, but it's actually relatively inexpensive, and it's got a lot of gameplay for its price. So I mean, it's really and even though I haven't played it, everyone that I've heard that's played it has really, really enjoyed it. If you watch Dice Tower, I think Tom Vassell is a huge fan of The Crew. So we can see this thing, it's moving up, 7 ranks a week for quite a while. And it's averaging an 8.05, which is probably going to put it, I would not be surprised if this lands close to the top 10, if not in the top 10 board games within about a year. So number 8 is Elizabeth Hargrave's latest board game, Mary Poses. It's about, I think it's a tile-laying game? Let's see here. I guess grid movement. And it's, again, based on another winged creature. Not birds this time. It's butterflies. I've heard it's good. I don't think it's gotten as much positive reviews as Wingspan did. It definitely, I think it looks really good, but the board is a little bit more intimidating than maybe the Wingspan board. We have different, I guess this is in a different language. Let's see if we have some more photos. I really like these butterfly tokens. They look really good. And overall, I think it's going to be a solid game. I don't see it eclipsing Wingspan, especially given the ratings it's sitting at today. Usually a new game is going to come out and it's going to hit its highest ratings first or very early, because the biggest or the most likely people to rate it and buy it are the fans. I think it's going to be a solid game. It may hit the top 100. We'll have to see. Number 7, Alma Mater. So this one I actually don't know too much about. Take a look. I think it was Yeah, so this is a lot of different designers here. Interesting. It's published this year, so it's a relatively new game. It's got a fairly heavy weight, which actually helps it do a little bit better on BGG. Just a lot of the players on BGG tend to be heavier board game players, people that are going to rate games. It's got a lot of different common Euro mechanisms. Let's see what it looks like. So, yeah, it looks, I mean, the artwork, I actually, this is kind of, I don't know if it's done by Enotool, but it looks kind of Enotool-esque, which I'm actually a big fan of. I like the books, even though this it looks like it's 3D rendered. Yeah. So we'll see how this does. It looks kind of like a standard Euro, maybe even point salad-ish game. So we'll have to see how it does. I think starting out pretty strong, and it's actually gotten a good number of ratings for not being out very long. So we'll have to see how this game moves in the next few months. Number 6 is Search for Planet X. So this game, I actually haven't watched any reviews for yet myself, but it looks like it's doing well. It's got a solo mode. It's a deduction game, which is actually, oh yeah, and this has the hybrid app. So I'm wondering if this is a more accessible deduction style game. Now, one of the deduction games I did like was Alchemist, but I thought the mechanisms, like if you looked at the Alchemist, there was too many mechanisms around what would be a very interesting deduction game, maybe by itself, maybe a lighter weight deduction game. Components here look pretty good. Search for Planet X. Oh, you get different facts. Yeah, that looks interesting. So I guess, let's see here. Are we searching for the game at the edge of the solar system? Oh, you're searching for the planet. The next, yeah, I guess the next planet. Narrow down the locations for Planet X. That's interesting. Actually, what this does remind me of, and maybe it's similar, is Cryptid. Whereas one thing with Cryptid I found a little bit difficult was the rules weren't always clear that you were given. And if someone messed up a rule, it could really mess up the game. Now, we didn't run into that very often, and I really like Cryptid. Maybe this is a better version since it's using an app, and everyone is searching for the same planet, which is an interesting thing. So I'm interested to see how this does. It's starting off very strong, so it might be this one is something to watch at number 6. It's moved up, I mean, hundreds of ratings a week, but it's staying strong with a 8.23 average and then a geek rating of 6.013 so far. So I think this one's probably going to be a really strong contender at the in a couple months. So next one is Calico at number 5. Now this one's done pretty well. I think Tom Vasel gave it a pretty good rating. And this is, if I remember right, a tile placement pattern building game, probably in similar to, like, I would say maybe like Patchwork. Let's see what it shows down here for similar games. Fantastic Factory, Santa Monica, Isle of Cats. Yeah, so Mariposas. So very interestingly, not Patchwork, but a lot of these like lighter games, except for Isle of Cats and Mariposas, are a little bit heavier. Tiny Town. So I'd say it's on the lighter side, which it is. And yeah, we're gonna sew buttons on a quilt. Sounds kind of like Patchwork, but it's with cats. Let's take a look at some of the pictures here. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so it's got the Patchwork style look, but with hexagons instead of the polyominoes. Interesting. Boards look really good. Yeah, so that's Calico. I think this one did well on Kickstarter, and it looks like it's doing well in the ratings. We're at 8.02, and moving up pretty steadily. Actually, the ratings have improved since the early ratings, which is actually interesting. Usually, like I said, it starts off stronger and may decrease over time. So number 4, we have Small World of Warcraft. So this one just came out. This one's probably not going to climb super high just because usually like new editions of an existing game don't do very well in the ratings because people have already rated them, and a lot of people may not re-rate them or even buy this game if they already own Small World. If you're not familiar with it, Small World is actually kind of a really interesting game based on Vici from Felipe Carides, where you're going to essentially spawn different combinations of factions. So you'll have, let's see if we look at this. Maybe see it. Yeah. So you have like kobolds that are fishing kobolds or championing goblins, and they'll have a special ability that goes with your racial ability. And you'll have kind of a certain number of tokens you can put out, and you'll have entry points in the world where you expand from. You try to conquer as much territory and get as much points as you can before you send the faction into decline. And it was a very unique mechanism when it was developed into Vici, and what ended up being even better, which is Small World. Just having the fact that you aren't one character throughout the whole game, where you are essentially spawning these civilizations, and I would say the game is less about, it's partially about using each character's ability to its best effect, but most of the game is when to put your civilization in decline and what new race to draft. And that is really the key to the game. One thing is, I do like how Small World of Warcraft looks a little bit better than Small World. It's not substantially better, but I do like the artwork, and I like the World of Warcraft themes. I think that there'll be a lot of people that this appeals to. It's interesting, though, that it's coming out now. I would have expected maybe this to come out a while ago, just because Warcraft. World of Warcraft is still big, but it's not as big as it was, maybe 10 years ago. So let's see here. So that is number 4, I believe. Number 3 is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. So this thing is skyrocketing up the ratings, partially because Gloomhaven is such a loved game, and partially because I think Jaws of the Lion is, in my opinion, the best version of Gloomhaven for most people. It features all the core mechanisms of Gloomhaven. It has the better adventure book, and it has unique, maybe even more unique characters or more fun characters to play in the scenarios. And again, it's just much more accessible, and you can see it here. Jaws of the Lion versus Gloomhaven. Most people would be challenged to even get through all the content in Gloomhaven. I think Jaws of the Lion is a excellent place for most people to play Gloomhaven and probably have more content than many people would ever get through. And if they happen to get through it all, there's always Gloomhaven and Frosthaven to go through. I do think Gloomhaven is a very good game. My personal opinion is that, as you can see on my top 10 list, it's not in my top 10 games of all time. But I think it's a very good, it's a very good game, and I think it's especially brought some unique stuff to the Dungeon Crawler. Just in case you aren't aware what Gloomhaven is, it's I would say Euro-style dungeon crawler, where the very unique mechanism of it is that you're playing 2 cards every turn, and you have to use the top and bottom action of the cards, and you basically get exhausted if you run out of cards or you run out of health. Doing adventure book style, like I guess Stuff Fables did first, it makes the game all that much better. Some good paint jobs on here, map. I think this even has some legacy elements with it. Actually, some of these paint jobs are really nice. These look good. They're better than I can paint, which at some point I'm planning on doing a miniature painting video with my wife, who's probably going to be much better at painting miniatures than me. She's got artistic talent more than I have. So that is number 3, Gloomhaven Jaws of a Lion. Again, it's skyrocketing up here. I would not be surprised if this thing makes it top 10. Maybe not this year. I think this year is a little bit optimistic, but probably next year. And I'm going on the limb and saying I think this one has potential to hit the number 1 game of all time. Beating out Gloomhaven, just because it is that much more accessible, and I really think it's probably the best version of Gloomhaven for most people. So number 2 is Tekhanu, Obelisk of the Sun. This is the next T version game, like Tzolk'in, Teotihuacan, and some people even consider Trismegistus, even though it's not the ancient theme. So this game has been doing pretty good. It's another, I guess this one's like more of an action drafting game with where again time is a factor with the the sun moving around the obelisk, and I guess these people set it up so it casts shadow. I think the obelisk is cool. The board is very detailed. I haven't played it myself yet, even though some friends have the game. I think it looks good. I don't know if it's hard to say. I was a little bit underwhelmed with Trismegistus myself. Wow. Yeah. I was a little bit underwhelmed with Trismegistus, but I'm hoping that this game is good. I don't think it's going to beat out Tzolk'in, but it's going pretty strong for how early it is. It's got 604 ratings. It'll probably land somewhere around Teotihuacan, I think, in the BGG ratings when it ends. And the number 1 climber this week is Marvel United. As most people know, Marvel United is the cooperative game from CMON and Spin Master. I do think that actually, let me go back here. I do think that there might have been some disappointment in the quality of the game from people, but again, you can't expect a $100 CMON game when you're paying. I think it was like, I forget what the Kickstarter was, but it was like $50 or $60 maybe, and the game is already going for that on Amazon, and probably will be less in the future. At least from what I've heard in the reviews, I don't think it's as good of a game as the Marvel Champions card game. But the minis I do like. I think they look really cool. I think they're like doing this, I guess, chibi style minis from CMON. Looks really good. And man, these people have some pretty good paint jobs on the minis. I think maybe the fact that they're chibi style makes them a little bit easier to paint too, make them look like kind of comic-y. Comic style. So I think if I got this, I would definitely paint the minis. I don't know if I'll pick it up or not, but these look really good. Overall, I don't see this one. I see this one probably climbing just because it was a very hot Kickstarter. It'll probably move up the ratings pretty quickly and then die off. I don't think it'll hit. Probably won't even hit top 100. But I am glad this exists. I think that having accessible games like this and The Crew that you can pick up at a reasonable price point can help people learn more about board gaming and hopefully determine if it's something that they enjoy. So there we have it. That is the Board Game Geek Climbers this week. If you like this video, please like and please subscribe. I'm planning on at least trying to post a video every week going over this list. Again, not for me, but it's done by Michael Alexander. Thank you.